Okay, if you're taking Develop in Swift Explorations and you're getting stuck on page 15, how to count the votes, let me take you through that one. This playground is called Arrays and Loops, and array, really quickly, is a collection of things, an ordered collection of things. In this case, we've got an ordered collection of votes. See, it's an array because it's inside these square brackets. And in this case, we're storing a bool of true or false. I made a array called Why Should I or Should I Learn Swift UI? So people voted, and we want to count these without actually just having to go one true, one false, and so we want to write a program to count these basically. So it's going to ask you to make a couple properties to store yes or no votes. We'll write a loop to tally up the votes. We're going to use some conditional logic to print the results, and then we want to throw it inside of a function so that we can use it for other tallies, so other votes, so make it more reusable. Reusability is important in programming. So, all right, so first step, make two properties to store your yes or no votes. So, okay. We're going to make a variable because it's going to change over time, and it's going to be a yes vote count. Yes vote count, and assign it to 0 first because we got no votes so far, and then the no vote count is going to be 0 as well. Okay, done, right? That part is done. Now what's the next section? All right, let's follow the actual instructions here because I don't think I just kind of paraphrased them over here. Create a for in loop that iterates over one of the vote arrays and checks the value of each vote. If the vote is true, loop adds 1 to the vote count. If it's false, it adds 1 to the no vote count. Okay, so here's where we do the for loop. So for each vote in, and the votes is not, what do I call it? Should I learn Swift UI? So this is a general for loop, and it's going to go for through each of these items in the array. So it's going to, for each of these items, then what do we do? For each of the items, well, we're going to check each vote. So if each vote is equal to true, for each, if the vote is true, loop should add 1. If the loop, okay, so it doesn't have you print anything. It just wants you to append or add to the count. I'm going to take the yes vote count, and I'm going to say assign it to the yes vote count plus 1. So it's going to take the previous count and then just add 1 to it. And then we'll just check else if each vote is equal to false, then the no vote count, and assign it to no vote plus 1. So it's just taking the previous count and adding 1 to it. So it loops through and gives you your count. Now there's a fancier way to do this, which is to get rid of that and then do plus equals. So this is another way. It's just doing the exact kind of same thing. Is doing the same thing as this. This is the same thing, right? Just a fancier way to do it down here, plus equals. But I don't know, for readability, I think this reads a little bit nicer in my brain, so I'm going to use this method. I'm going to go ahead and run this and just see what happens. Okay, so it gets through here, does this 83 times. It does this 70 times. So I'd like to actually just kind of see what the results are down here. So just really quickly, I'm going to print out the yes vote counts and then print out the no vote counts. And we'll just go ahead and hit play there. 83, 70. Okay, it matches, right? Great. Good news. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that for now. And we'll continue with the assignment here where they ask you, I think then, to write something different using the if-else statement. Let's see what they say specifically. After the loop is finished, write an if statement that compares the two values and prints a different message based on whether the vote passed or failed. All right. So after that, we're going to do if the yes votes count is, I guess, greater than the no vote counts. Print yes, the vote passes. And then I guess I'll just do else. Everything else, print the vote did not pass. Yes, the vote passes. Looks like it's working correctly. Okay, so now the last step is they kind of want you to, they're like, yeah, that's cool, but now here's this other vote, right? So how do you use all this code, this beautiful code that you wrote up here inside of a function? All right, fine. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to comment out all this stuff for now. Start over, kind of. We'll use the code, but I'm going to comment it out just to make it simple so that when I run it, nothing happens yet, right? Yep, nothing happens. And I'm going to make a function, and I guess I'll call this function like tally votes or something like that. And here's a basic function, right? It's not taking, right now it's not taking in anything, it's not returning anything. But ultimately, I think that we want to put all that stuff inside of the function. So we're not going to return anything. We're going to actually take the votes in, count them, and then spit out the answer, right? Print out the answer, I should say. So what do we need? Well, let's give some kind of tally votes for, I'm struggling to figure out what to call this. I guess it's for the, I'm just going to call it vote description. So what this is for basically is it's going to, so what are we telling the votes for? It's going to make it more descriptive. So we're telling the votes in this case, the first case for something like should you learn SwiftUI, the second case, should I, would I, could I don't know what that means. And then, so that way when you run the function, you can differentiate which vote you're voting on. So otherwise it would just say, yeah, vote passed, and you're like, well, which vote? So in this case, it's going to say SwiftUI vote passed, or should I, would I, could I passed, whatever the vote is. And then we just need that array of bools, I think it is, right? It's an array of bools to be passed in. So this is going to be called all the votes, basically, or just votes. And it's going to be of type bool, array of bools. Okay, so this is all good to go. So what we're going to do then is we're going to bring in our code now. So this first thing we did, Command C is to copy, Command V is to paste, then you highlight them all and you hold down Command and hit Shift to comment or uncomment things. And we got this vote count that we're assigning, right? And this is just setting up some variables, so that's all good, fine, dandy. And then we got our for loop here. We're going to copy this, Command C, throw it down here, Command V, and then highlight it, and then uncomment it. So for each vote in, now here's where it gets different. For each vote in, not should I learn SwiftUI, but for each vote in these votes, then we're going to count them up. Get rid of this other way. And that's all good. Now at the bottom, we're going to Command C, copy the if-else statement here, Command V, and Command and slash to uncomment that. So if the yes vote count is greater than the no vote count, yes, the vote for, and then I'm going to pass in that descriptive string. And here's yes, the vote for vote description passes. And I'm even going to throw in the vote count with, and then how many yes votes, and how many no votes. So we'll take this yes vote property and we'll use string interpolation to interpolate that string down here. Command C. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this same thing down here, but I'm going to say no. The vote for vote description does not pass and had this many yes votes and this many no votes. Okay, now we should be able to use our new tally votes function down here to count this one and this one, each of these. So let's go ahead and try that. So calling a function, you just type the function in. The vote description, the first one is, should I learn Swift UI? Swift UI is Apple's new declarative way of making apps. It's pretty cool. You should learn it, I think. But you should probably learn Storyboard first because it's still predominantly the way that you make apps. So Storyboard is like UIKit, like buttons and UI views and things, and Swift UI is kind of more like fancy schmancy, like building it's like React or one of these functional programming languages. Okay, and the votes is, should I learn Swift UI? That's the array of votes. So right now that should give us 83 and something, 70 something, right? Yes, the vote for should I learn Swift UI passes with 83 yes, the vote for should I learn Swift UI passes with 83 yes votes and 70 no votes. Cool. And then let's go ahead and tally the votes for the other one. Tally votes for should I, would I, could I. And the votes are should I, would I, could I. Go ahead and hit run there. And let's see. Now it should run this one first and then this one second. All right, let's see. Yeah, should I learn Swift UI passes 83, 70. Yes, the vote for should I, would I, could I passes was 77 yes and 67 no votes. Now I want to make sure that the logic is actually working correctly. So I'm going to throw a bunch of no votes in this second one so that I can just test. Command C over the false. Do I have a couple falses in a row? Let's see here. False. False, false, false. Here we go. False, false, false. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm just going to Command V, paste it a bunch of times. Okay. Maybe a couple more. There we go. And go ahead and let's run this again and see if that was enough to put it in. Okay. 127 no votes. And no, the vote for should I, would I, could I does not pass and had 77 and 127 votes. Now, what if they're the same? So I want to check one more thing, which is true and false. True, false. So right now there's should I, would I, could I. What's going to happen, right? We didn't check that. No, the vote for should I, would I, could I does not pass and had 1 yes votes and 1 no votes. So I don't know if there's this in this situation, if there's some special logic to for a tiebreaker. But what we could do is we could do else if no vote count is greater than yes vote count. That would count the no votes is greater. And then we can say else, and pretty much anything else would be a tie, I would think. But if you really want to be certain that it's a tie, you could say else if the no vote count is the same as the yes vote count. Then what? Then I'm going to print out, holy cow, it was a tie. The vote for blank was a tie and had that many yes votes and that many no votes. Okay, let's give that a shot. Holy cow, the vote for should I, would I, could I was a tie and had 1 yes vote and 1 no vote. There you go. So hopefully that helps you with this assignment, the arrays and loops assignment on page 15. And if you have any questions about it, send me a message or comment on this video. And if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe to Cracking Code with Dave, where I pretty much teach how to make apps for the iPhone.